Welcome to Honest Answers. The question that we have today is, why do Christians base their life on a book? Now, it does sound kind of odd to talk about basing your whole life on a book. And Christians do in fact do that. And the book we're talking about is the Bible. So why do they do that? We're going to answer that question in two ways. First of all, I'd like to ask a question back. What do most people base their life on? What do you base your life on? How do people come up with information that helps them know who and what they are, how they should make decisions, what's good and true and beautiful, what's to be praised or what's to be criticized? When you think about it that way, you realize this is a big issue. Whatever I base my life on has to have a lot of authority, has to be able to take all those considerations into account. And there's really three main things that people use to base their life on in our society. First, just whatever seems right to them or whatever seems reasonable. This usually ends up to be sort of a hodgepodge of things, maybe some religious teachings they heard when they were a kid, maybe something their friends said that made sense, maybe general ideas that float around in the culture, sometimes it's a movie they saw. And so what you end up with is sort of a grab bag of ideas that people piece together, and the standard that they use to decide whether or not something should be believed or not believed is usually just their own feelings. It's just what they think. So what we should realize is the way most people operate is just based out of opinion. They think something makes sense, they think an idea is good or true, and so they take it to themselves. Now, if I was going to sell you a house, and I walked you to the foundation to inspect it, and you saw that the foundation was made up of just a bunch of different materials, maybe some old crushed up kids' toys, maybe some sand dumped into a hole, a little bit of brick here, maybe a little bit of cement, and I asked you how this foundation was put together, and you said, well, it's just whatever I felt would work at the time. I don't think that you would buy that house. And we have to see that basing your life on something is even a bigger decision than building a house. So clearly, we can't just go with whatever we think. That's not a good thing to base your life on. Some people are going to say science, but that fundamentally misunderstands what science is. Science, by its very definition, is unable to give us any kind of answer big enough to base our life on. Science can't tell you whether someone should be murdered or helped. Science can't tell you whether you should oppress weak people or help them survive and flourish. Science can't tell you whether a baby should live or should die. All science can do is collect data about those situations and give you sets of numbers to work with. Science isn't really available as an option to base our life on. A third thing people bring up when you're talking about systems of thought to base your life on is just that everyone agrees on certain truths. It's sort of the cultural way of thinking. Well, everyone knows that certain things are right or wrong. But we should just admit that historically that's not true. There's always been major things people disagreed on. And that even right now, there's huge disagreements in our culture. And even if our culture sort of all agrees on something together, we can find other cultures where they feel differently. And so just appealing to what everybody knows that, consent is necessary in this situation is not really, again, a thing to base your life on. It's not big enough. It's not solid enough. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that everyone's going to say, well, sure then, give me a book to base my life on. I understand that even if we kind of see the flaws in the way we typically make our decisions, it's not going to make people run to a book. So then why do Christians choose a book? And here we just need to say, it's not simply a book that we've chosen. It's really actually a record of times when God appeared in the world and told us things that were true. So when Christians say they base their life on the Bible, they're not just saying we picked a book that we like. They're saying here we have a collection of documents that gives us eyewitness accounts, information about God and the world, straight from God himself, through human beings. We have eyewitness accounts of everything from the life of Jesus to what happened after Jesus was on the earth, to the work and the moving of the Holy Spirit. We have eyewitnesses accounts when God himself, even before Jesus, came down and came to the top of a mountain or split a sea in half or dropped fire down from heaven in response to someone's prayer. And I understand that a lot of people don't believe these things happen, but that's what the Bible claims to be. And in a unique way, when you take the Bible at its word and you put your trust in its claims, an amazing thing happens. You actually come to meet the author of the book. And that's why Christians have based their life on the Bible down through the years. First of all, it makes good on its historical claims. I really recommend that you look into the claims for the resurrection of Jesus Christ and how historically reliable they are. Secondly, when you trust it and you seek to live it out, you actually come to know the God who is the book's main character. And when Christians have come to see how reliable the Bible is historically and how it introduces God to them and how they come to know God and how their life changes, they come away utterly sure that they should base their whole life on the Bible. And when someone comes along and says, well, that seems like a small thing to base your life on, they know it's a huge thing. It's delivered on its claims. If Christians are asked, why do you base your life on a book? We'd like to respond in two ways. One, it's the best thing that we've seen out there. It's better than a hodgepodge of personal opinions or science which can't actually answer these questions, or just assuming that everyone culturally agrees on certain things which they don't. Two, it's not simply a book. It's a record of God's appearances in the earth and what he said and what he did when he appeared. And finally, if you trust it, you meet the author of the book. All these things taken together give the Bible a compelling claim for us all to base our life on. Thank you for watching Honest Answers. If you have any questions for us, feel free to email us at talk@truthoncampus.com. We'd love to give it a shot and give you a short, quick, honest answer.